Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Nauri. In today's bulletin, we will get you detailed news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. We the people at heart of White House holiday decorations. Biden boosts US effort to stem sexual violence in war zones. Crews rescue two from plane caught in power lines in Maryland. Water boil order issued for more than 2 million in Houston. Prince William focuses US trip on climate amid Harry Row. John Baptiste to sing for Macron at Biden's first state dinner. "14 attendees of a funeral killed in Cameroon landslide." Four killed in Mogadishu hotel siege by Al-Shabaab. Chinese authorities eased some antivirus rules. China virus protest hit Hong Kong after mainland rallies. Police smash European cocaine super cartel, arrest 49. WHO renames monkeypox as Mpox, citing racism concerns. US soccer briefly scrubs emblem from Iran flag at World Cup. Canelo slams Messi over Mexico team World Cup jersey. Qatari fans hit back at Germany by recalling Ozil in protest. And Brazil advances at World Cup with 1-0 win over Switzerland. Now news in detail. Drawing decorating inspiration from America's founding documents, Jill Biden chose a We the People theme to deck the White House halls and to remind Americans of what unites them throughout the year, especially during the holidays. Journalists were given a sneak peek early Monday before the First Lady was to unveil the transformational work of a small army of volunteer decorators during an event later in the day. As part of joining forces, her White House initiative to support military families, Biden will be joined by National Guard leaders from across the country, as well as National Guard families. Her late son, Beau Biden, was a major in the Delaware Army National Guard. The decorations include more than 83,000 twinkling lights on trees, garlands, wreaths, and other displays, 77 Christmas trees, and 25 wreaths on the exterior of the executive mansion. A copy of the Declaration of Independence is on display in the library. While the always show-stopping gingerbread White House includes a sugar cookie replica of Philadelphia's Independence Hall, where the Constitution and Declaration of Independence were signed. The Constitution opens with the phrase, "We the people." President Joe Biden is strengthening US policy aimed at stemming sexual violence in war conflict zones, elevating the problem, increasingly documented in Ukraine and elsewhere, to the level of a possible serious human rights abuse that triggers sanctions and other actions against foreign perpetrators. Biden, a Democrat, on Monday signed a presidential memorandum that seeks to combat the use of rape by both foreign governments and individuals as a weapon of war, according to a senior administration official who insisted on anonymity to discuss the decision ahead of the announcement. The memorandum directs for the first time that the state and treasury departments and other agencies give equal consideration of acts of sexual violence to other serious human rights abuses in leveraging sanctions and other punishment against foreign actors and to respond to the full extent possible, the official said. Currently, US policy allows for the imposition of sanctions for conflict-related sexual violence, but it is not commonly used. Two people were rescued early Monday, more than 6 hours after their small plane crashed into live power lines, causing widespread outages in Montgomery County, Maryland. Montgomery County Fire Chief Scott Goldstein said the plane got stuck in the lines about 100 feet above the ground at around 5:40 p.m. Sunday. Responders secured it to the tower at 12:16 a.m. Monday, and the first occupant was removed from the plane at 12:25 a.m. The second occupant was out at 12:36 a.m. Maryland State Police identified them as pilot Patrick Merkel, 65 years old, of Washington, D.C., and passenger Janet Williams, 66 years old, of Marrero, Louisiana. Both suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries, and that hypothermia had set in while they waited to be pulled from the plane, Goldstein said. The single-engine Mooney M20J made departed White Plains, New York, and crashed into a power line tower near Montgomery County Airport in Gaithersburg, the Federal Aviation Administration said in a statement. The FAA, National Transportation Safety Board, and Maryland State Police are investigating. More than 2 million people in the Houston area were under a boil order notice Monday after a power outage caused low pressure at a water purification plant, officials said. The order, which means water must be boiled before it's used for cooking, bathing, or drinking, also prompted schools in the Houston area to close Monday. It was issued Sunday after a power outage at a water purification plant, the city's Public Works Department said. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner said on Twitter that the city believes the water is safe, but a boil order was required because of the drop in water pressure. He said water sampling would begin Monday morning and the boil order could be lifted 24 hours after the city is notified the water is safe. Prince William and the Princess of Wales will be looking to focus attention on their Earthshot Prize for environmental innovators when they make their first visit to the United States in 8 years this week, a trip clouded by tensions with William's brother, Prince Harry, and his wife Meghan, who have criticized Britain's royal family in the American media. William and his wife Catherine will travel to Boston on Wednesday for 3 days of public engagements before announcing the prize winners on Friday in a ceremony headlined by pop star Billie Eilish. Boston, birthplace of John F. Kennedy, was chosen to host the second annual prize ceremony because the late president's 1962 moonshot speech setting the challenge for Americans to reach the moon by the end of the decade inspired the prince and his partners to set a similar goal for finding solutions to climate change and other environmental problems by 2030. The first Earthshot prizes were awarded last year in London just before the UK hosted the COP26 climate conference. Musician Jon Batiste is on tap to perform at President Joe Biden's first White House state dinner on Thursday that will highlight long-standing ties between the United States and France and honor President Emmanuel Macron. An artist who transcends generations, Jon Batiste's music inspires and brings people together, said Vanessa Valdivia, a spokesperson for First Lady Jill Biden, whose office is overseeing dinner preparations. We are thrilled to have him perform at the White House for the first state dinner of the Biden-Harris administration, Valdivia said. The back-tie dinner for Macron will be part of what is shaping up to be a busy social season at the White House. The Biden's granddaughter Naomi was married on the South Lawn earlier this month, and First Lady Jill Biden was set on Monday to unveil the White House decorations that will be viewed by thousands of holiday visitors over the next month. Now it's time for global updates. At least 14 people attending a funeral in Cameroon's capital Yaoundé were killed by a landslide Sunday, the region's governor said. The victims were part of a group that had gathered to mourn the deaths of several relatives. Dozens of people were attending a funeral on a soccer pitch at the base of a 20-meter high soil embankment, which collapsed on top of them, witnesses told Reuters. An AFP reporter saw 4 large white tents at the hill's summit, on the edge of what seemed to be a ridge, beyond which the ground had disappeared. Early Sunday evening, police pickup trucks took away bodies covered by white sheets, an AFP correspondent at the scene said. Emergency services were trying to make their way to the site as hundreds of local people frantically searched for loved ones. Some people in the crowd wept as emergency workers searched the site. The disaster happened in the working-class district of Damas, on the eastern outskirts of the capital. At least 4 people were killed in an ongoing attack by Al-Shabaab militants who laid siege to a popular hotel in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, overnight. Witnesses described 2 massive explosions followed by gunfire that sent people fleeing the scene in Bondhair district. The hotel is just a few blocks from the office of Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. All roads leading to the hotel have been cordoned off by security forces, according to witnesses. Al-Shabaab, a militant group affiliated with Al-Qaeda that has been trying to overthrow Somalia's central government for 15 years, claimed responsibility for the attack. Chinese authorities eased some antivirus rules but affirmed their Savor Zero COVID strategy Monday after protesters demanded President Xi Jinping resign in the biggest show of opposition to the ruling Communist Party in decades. The government made no comment on the protests or the criticism of Xi, but the decision to ease at least some of the restrictions appeared to be aimed at quelling anger. Still, analysts don't expect the government to back down on its COVID strategy and note authorities are adept at stifling dissent. It wasn't clear how many people were detained since protests began Friday and spread to cities including Shanghai, the country's financial center, and the capital, Beijing. The city government of Beijing announced Monday it would no longer set up gates to block access to apartment compounds where infections are found. It made no mention of a deadly fire last week that set off the protest following questions about whether firefighters or victims trying to escape were blocked by locked doors or other antivirus controls. Students in Hong Kong chanted "Oppose dictatorship" in a protest against China's COVID rules Monday after demonstrators on the mainland issued an unprecedented call for President Xi Jinping to resign in the biggest show of opposition to the ruling Communist Party in decades. Rallies against China's unusually strict antivirus measures spread to several cities over the weekend, and authorities eased some regulations, apparently as part of an attempt to quell that public anger. But the government showed no sign of backing down on its larger COVID strategy, and analysts expect authorities to quickly silence the dissent. With police out in force on Monday, there was no word of protest in Beijing for Shanghai, but about 50 students sang at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and some lit candles in a show of support for those in mainland cities who demonstrated against restrictions that have confined millions of people to their homes, hiding their faces to avoid official retaliation. The students chanted, "No PCR tests but freedom," and "Oppose dictatorship, don't be slaves." The gathering and a similar one elsewhere in Hong Kong were the biggest protests there in more than a year under rules imposed to crush a pro-democracy movement in the territory, which is Chinese but has a separate legal system from the mainland. Law enforcement authorities in 6 different countries have joined forces to take down a super cartel of drugs traffickers controlling about 1/3 of the cocaine trade in Europe, the European Union Crime Agency said on Monday. Europol said 49 suspects have been arrested during the investigation, with the latest series of raids across Europe and the United Arab Emirates taking place between November 8 to November 19. The agency said police forces involved in Operation Desert Light targeted both the command and control center and the logistical drugs trafficking infrastructure in Europe. Over 30 metric tons of drugs were seized during the investigations run in Spain, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the UAE with the support of Europol. The US Drug Enforcement Administration also played a role in bringing down the organization, which was also involved in money laundering, Europol said. The World Health Organization has renamed monkeypox as Mpox, citing concerns the original name of the decades-old animal disease could be construed as discriminatory and racist. The UN Health Agency said in a statement Monday that Mpox was its new preferred name for monkeypox, saying that both monkeypox and Mpox would be used for the next year while the old name is phased out. WHO said it was concerned by the racist and stigmatizing language that arose after monkeypox spread to more than 100 countries. It said numerous individuals and countries asked the organization to propose a way forward to change the name. In August, WHO began consulting experts about renaming the disease, shortly after the UN agency declared monkeypox's spread to be a global emergency. To date, there have been more than 80,000 cases identified in dozens of countries that had not previously reported the smallpox-related disease. Until May, monkeypox, a disease that is thought to originate in animals, was not known to trigger large outbreaks beyond Central and West Africa. The US Soccer Federation briefly displayed Iran's national flag on social media without the emblem of the Islamic Republic, saying the move supported protesters in Iran ahead of the two nations World Cup match Tuesday. Iran's government reacted by accusing America of removing the name of God from its national flag. The USSF decision added yet another political firestorm to the Middle East's first World Cup, one organizers had hoped would be spared of off-the-field controversies. It occurred as the US prepared to face Iran in a decisive World Cup match already freighted by the decades of enmity between the countries and the nationwide protests challenging Tehran's theocratic government. The USSF said in a statement Sunday morning it decided to forgo the official flag on social media accounts to show support for the women in Iran fighting for basic human rights. The Twitter account of the US men's team displayed a banner with the squad's matches in the group stage, with the Iranian flag only bearing its green, white and red colors. The same was seen in a post on its Facebook and Instagram accounts laying out the point totals so far in its group. By Sunday afternoon, the normal flag with the emblem had been restored in the Twitter banner and the Facebook and Instagram posts with the altered flag had been removed. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,370.67. The NYSE composite is decreased by 235.23 points or 1.51%. Tokyo stock close price is 28,162.83. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 120.20 points or 0.43%. Shanghai stock close price is 3078.5485. The Shanghai Composite Index is decreased by 23.14 points or 0.75%. Hong Kong stock close price is 17,297.94. The Hang Seng Index is decreased by 275.64 points or 1.57%. Bombay stock close price is 62,504.80. The Sensex index is increased by 211.16 points or 0.34%. Now a look of today's sports stories. The Argentina star may have gotten into trouble with the wrong person after moving the Mexican national team jersey with his foot while celebrating his team's much-needed World Cup win against Mexico on Saturday. Mexican boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez said on Twitter that Messi was cleaning the floor with the Mexican shirt. He said it was a disrespectful attitude by the Argentina star toward the Mexicans. He better ask God not to run into me, Canelo tweeted. Messi was taking his right shoe off when he, apparently without intention, moved the Mexico shirt which he had exchanged with a Mexican player after Argentina's 2-0 win. The shirt was on the floor as the Argentines celebrated in the locker room. Former Argentina forward Sergio Kun Aguero come out on Messi's defense. Mr. Canelo, don't go finding excuses or creating trouble. Certainly you don't know soccer or what happens in a locker room, he said on Twitter. The shirts are always on the floor after a match as they are sweaty. The 35-year-old Messi is trying to win his first World Cup title with Argentina. The win over Mexico kept the Argentines in position to advance to the knockout round. Qatari soccer fans hit back at Germany's World Cup protest on Sunday by holding pictures of former Germany player Mesut Ozil while covering their mouths during the match against Spain. A group of fans held copies of a hand-drawn sketch of Ozil, while others showed pictures of him in action for Germany. The clearly coordinated display was apparently in response to Germany players' gesture on Wednesday, when they covered their mouths to protest against FIFA following the governing body's clampdown on the One Love armband. That gesture was a response to FIFA's effective nixing of 7 European teams' plans to wear armbands that were seen as a rebuke to host nation Qatar and its human rights record. Qatari fans appeared Sunday to reference Germany's own questionable treatment of Ozil, the former player who quit the national team after becoming a target of racist abuse and a scapegoat for Germany's early World Cup exit in 2018. Now the World Cup football match reports. Struggling and unconvincing without Neymar on the field, Brazil still played well enough to secure a spot in the next round of the World Cup. The five-time champions overcame the absence of their injured star to beat Switzerland 1-0 with a late goal Monday and make it to the round of 16 with a match to spare in Group G. Cameroon staged an impressive comeback in a 3-3 draw against Serbia at the World Cup despite replacing its goalkeeper at the last minute. Mohamed Kudus scored twice as Ghana beat South Korea 3-2 in a pulsating World Cup encounter on Monday to keep their World Cup hopes alive and leave Paulo Bento's side facing an early exit. Bruno Fernandes scored twice as Portugal defeated Uruguay in Group H to qualify for the round of 16. Let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.